You might live forever. Can you afford it? Your financial plan runs to age 85. Science says 95. Elon says, don't even bother saving for retirement. Besides, AI is eliminating the income you're counting on to fund it. All right, 601, I got a story for you. So last Tuesday, a guy goes, sits down with his financial advisor. And they work out a plan, it's solid. He's going to run till he's 80 or 87 years old. And he drives home feeling like, hey, he's a man's got his whole act together, right? And that night, he sees Elon Musk on a podcast saying saving for retirement is pointless, that 15, 20 years from now, there's going to be abundance and money's not going to mean a damn thing. Then he goes to sleep. He wakes up the next morning. He has an email sitting in his box from some longevity researcher saying that man may live till they're 95 or 100 now. And the next day, he gets a report at his office that says, his industry's facing another round of AI layoffs. So that's 4 headlines, and none of them agree.
So, So when we first started talking about second half man, you gave me your concept. I was like, man, this is going to be awesome. This is, we need to build this brotherhood. We need to be concerned about this, because specifically to me, the future that I had been planning for all this time, how I expected my second half, even though I didn't know it was going to be my second half at the time, how that was going to look and what my plan was going to be. So which way do I go? Do I stay with my plan? Do I adjust my plan? Do I take my plan and throw it out the window? What's the deal? What do you suggest? What do we do?
Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. You just might live forever. Can you afford it?
Okay. So welcome back to the Second Half Man Show. I'm 601. I'm here with Russ Borden, the founder of Second Half Man. We hope you like what you see. Please hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe so you can see all of our Second Half Man shows. So Russ, give it to me, man. Tell me. Which path should I choose?
Which path should you choose? Well, really what we have here is 4 forces kind of colliding all together at once. And we need to understand that before we can say, which path do I choose, right? So the first force is the abundance case. That's the Elon Musk's supersonic tsunami and the AI and robotics. They're all going to just make, the world an unbelievable place to live, right? A happy utopia, the medical care, goods and services, the scarcity disappears, there's high income for everyone. And I think that the argument for that goes kind of beyond what Elon Musk is saying. Is if you look at all of the money that's being poured into this, the hundreds of billions of dollars, the trillions of dollars that are being poured into infrastructure and spent by OpenAI and Google and Anthropic and NVIDIA and all of the power service companies that are throwing money at all of this. You follow the money, and it's hard to ignore this kind of case.
Yeah, I think we see it's evident every day. All the headlines, job displacements. And so,
yeah. Directly opposite that is force 2. So the case for disruption. Right. So we hear about all of the, job loss, the turmoil that's going on, the disruption in the world, and all the geopolitical issues, and a lot of it, being talked about coming down to energy and AI. And it's just a point where, the exact opposite of utopia, we're talking about dystopia. And if you look at what's happening in the real world with that, large corporations, 78% of them are all, are heavily into their AI adoption. It's way behind for the smaller company, vastly, mostly owned by folks in our demographic, men over the age of 45. 24% of those small businesses are all that's really logged into or locked into working on their AI strategy and their adoption. So,
Yeah, the interesting thing there is because, and I know we've spoken about this in previous shows, is that the large companies, right? If they lay off a percentage of their workforce, it's probably not as noticeable as the smaller companies that you're describing, right? Kind of like where we've been, our whole lives. If I have 4 employees and I'm capable or able to lay off 2, that's a much bigger impact than if Microsoft or Amazon lays off 2% of their workforce, right? And that's
yeah.
and I think part of the problem is we're not, that's how it's presented to us, so we're not really understanding the impact there at all.
Well, I can tell you about impact. I mean, I lived through this, and we talked about my business and having to shut it down and do that. But my business didn't fail because of technology. It failed because the human cost of all this adaptation wasn't really accounted for on our end. The tech was right, but the way we went about try to put it in place really affected the people. Our culture fractured and the trust dissolved, and the machine was right, but we weren't ready. And I think a big part of the story about only 24% of the small businesses adopting are exactly for this reason. The problem is going to be is there's going to come a point in time when the small companies can't resist anymore, can't afford to resist not going this route, and we're going to see a lot more human disruption than what we're thinking about anyway.
Yeah, and that concerns me because I've adopted I guess what we call a traditional plan, right, for the future, which is optimize my retirement funding, create a strategy that gets supplemented by government programs. You invest so long and you'll be able to live, for the next 20 years the way you want, or that you expect your lifestyle to be. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how's that? What's that gonna,
Well, that's the perfect perfect explanation of the third major force that's all colliding at the same time. And that's the case for the traditional case and living by the old playbook, right? Yeah. So right now, the median retirement savings for 55 to 64-year-olds about $185,000, right? Great, but what they're saying is required for a comfortable retirement actually requires about $1.25 million, right? $1.26 million in order to be living in a comfortable retirement. The other thing,
that math don't work, bro.
That math don't work. Make it even worse, I got here's even a little worse. It's like only 5% of households with retirement accounts have crossed the $1 million threshold. Only 5%, right? And over 50% of the people in that same group that we're talking about have zero retirement. So you're gonna end up doing what? Living off of Social Security? Okay, Social Security is supposed to be insolvent it's projected to be insolvent by 2034. So at the very least, the best we could hope for is some kind of a revised program and a potential benefit cut of maybe, 20% or something like that. So the last force that we're talking about, and I'm going to make it all just make you feel really good about it, because I'm going to give you more time for life, right? So the anti-aging market right now, the anti-aging market right now, I gotta
work longer.
The longevity sciences guys, they're spending Well, a couple of years ago, it was 63 billion. This year, it's supposed to be 85 billion, and it's projected to grow at another 21% annually over the next 5 years. So in the next 5 years, it's going to, more than double. They're saying that longevity, escape velocity, is supposed to be here by 2030.
Say that 3 times.
Yeah, I know. You want to know?
Escape
You want to know
longevity?
What longevity escape velocity is, right?
Escape velocity, right? Okay.
Okay. So Kurzweil, one of the OGs of all of this, one of the great futurists, and been telling us everything that what we're going through right now was going to happen. And he was saying this, 30 or 35 years ago. He predicts that we're going to hit longevity escape velocity by the year 2030. And that for most health conscious men, that means that you could live upwards of 95 to 100 years old or so. What longevity escape velocity, actually says is that for every year you live, you can expect to have another healthy year added to your projected lifespan because of all of this ongoing technology and the benefits that we're receiving for that. So that brings you down to this. Right now, if you are 60, you have plans, you retire 65, and you have money that's going to last you till, let's say, 85 years old, according to your plan, right? But you live to 97. Now you got, 12 years of unfunded life, and at an average of $77,000 annual household spend, that's nearly $1 million that you need that you've never planned for. So you got another 12 years, but it's more costly than you think.
This is cataclysmic, man, because you just said half our guys, 50% don't have retirement savings. Then you said half our guys, or almost half our guys, have approximately $185,000 in their savings plan. I don't know if I got that number exactly right, but that's
185, yeah, that's the median savings. Yeah,
and then you said we need $1.2657 whatever million to last the 20 years, right? That we all plan for traditionally,
right?
And then you said, on top of that, we need another $1 million because they're going to make us go from 85 to 95. So the reality at that point is that you need 2.65793, whatever the hell $1 million is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Woo! You got
these are all
Russ,
averages, so we don't have to hit the
Have you got some more good news for me? Can you give me any more good news?
I think the biggest issue out of all of this is we just talked about 4.
But I don't have to worry because Elon said I ain't got to worry about anything.
Maybe so. But, here's the problem is nobody's connecting these 4 forces for you. I mean, you may be talking about one or the other, but nobody's really telling you and connecting the dots for you. Your advisor knows one number. Your doctor has another one. The tech press is, coming every day saying something different. And you're sitting at the intersection of all 4 of these with no map. We need to talk about the trap. There's 3 basic traps. And I kind of take this from you. You're big on the whole A to B. Tell me how to get from here to there. We as men basically fall into 3 distinct categories, right? So first, you're either the optimist, which is you hear Elon Musk saying, don't, worry about saving for retirement. Retirement savings is going to be a waste of time. So you're going to be, in 15 to 20 years, you're gonna have more money than you know what to do with, right? So you hear that, and you slow down your savings, you stop building new income, you bet on Musk and say that abundance is going to arrive before my money runs out. Musk has been wrong, right? Well, he hasn't been wrong on a whole lot of things that he says he's going to do. What he's been wrong on is timing, right? So what happens if you bet on this and the timing's not 15 to 20 years, it's 25 to 30 years before we hit that utopia. And most of us are going to have run out of money 20 years before we get to that point, right? So that's the first one. If you're not an optimist, you could be a pessimist, right? You see everything through the disruption lens, and you start pulling cash out of all your investments, and you stop working on growing your business or investing in yourself to get ahead, because what the hell's the use? The sky's falling. What the hell? What am I doing all this for? So you do all that and trying to wait for the storm to pass. Well, you may survive. You may survive the disruption, but what happens on the other side? If the next economy, when the next economy hits, because there will be a new economy, we just don't know exactly what it is yet. And you end up there, you start that in that new economy with no new skills, no streams of income, no momentum. You didn't lose any money. Hell, you lost your future.
Yep. I understand that.
Yeah. The last group that you may fall into, you may be an ostrich, right? You're ignoring everything. Got your head in the sand. You're running from the old playbook. You're saying everything's overblown one way or the other. It's going to be the same old, no matter what happens. And you run that whole diversified portfolio, max out your 401k, plan for 20 years of drawdown, and you just assume that the world's going to keep on doing what it's going to do. I'm going to die when I'm supposed to die, and the economy is going to hold still, and everything's going to be great for the next foreseeable future.
That's a great description. I think, and unfortunately there's too many people I think that fit in that description.
Well, actually that category is the most dangerous one. Why? And yes, why? It's because it feels right? It makes it's the easiest thing to do is just say, the hell with this. Everybody's crazy. It's just going to keep on going like it has for the last 40 or 50 years.
Nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change. Right.
So what I really want to say is you fall into one of those three categories, and all three of those, the pessimist, the optimist, and the ostrich, have all made the same mistake. They each picked a future and planned for it as if it were certain, right? So if I'm an optimist and I plan for that certain future, I plan for ultimate abundance and I don't have to worry about it too much. If I'm a pessimist and I plan for that future, then I may be cutting off my future despite my base, right? What is that? Cutting off my nose despite my face. Yeah. I may be doing what I think is right now at the risk of my future. And the third one is the same thing. It's if I say nothing's going to happen and one or the other happens, dystopia or utopia, I'm screwed because I've done nothing to prepare for what's in that. So all of them made the same mistake, and that's picking that future and being certain about it and making their own plan to take them from A to B.
Okay, so I understand what you're saying. I get it. But so what's the sovereign solution for our guys in this situation?
As a matter of fact, in my upcoming book, The Second Half Manifesto, How to Stay Dangerous When AI and Society Want You Obsolete, we have the 22 elements of the Sovereign's Code, and element number 20 deals with this specifically. All right. Element number 20 is you need to build deep prosperity.
This is what the sovereign would do.
Exactly. This is their sovereign response, right? So deep prosperity is not a number in an account. It's the architecture of freedom that sustains you regardless of what the world does next. And there's 4 dimensions to it. So there is financial freedom, but you need to have multiple durable streams of income that keep producing and keep flowing whether you work or not, whether abundance arrives or I have enough money on my floor to do whatever needs to be done, and whether the economy goes in your favor or it doesn't really matter. You have financial freedom, right? The second part of the 4 dimensions is time freedom. You have the ability to choose how you spend your hours, right? It's not that you are working hours and trading them for survival. I'm not working hours to trade for my money. I am able to choose my hours and how I spend them. The third dimension of it is location freedom, right? So I have the option to live and work from wherever it serves my life. If I am working and I have to be at a particular office at a particular time, that doesn't serve my life. That serves somebody else's. I'm just getting paid for the hours that I'm willing to give up. And the last dimension is really deep satisfaction. You have to have the deep satisfaction of choosing what you do because it matters, not because it's a paycheck, not because you feel like you have to do that in order to pay the bills. This is your purpose. The purpose for being able to do all of these things that you need to do from wherever you need to do them when you want to do them. This is deep prosperity. And why is that important? Because the man who has deep prosperity, he didn't have to pick which outcome was correct. If you have deep prosperity, it doesn't matter if we end up in a utopia or a dystopia or nothing really changes at all. You're right across the board.
Should we take a little closer look at that? Or
yeah, I think we should. Maybe we just start off with like really thinking about this. So we really need to have all 4. Can't just have one or the other because take, for example, income streams. The man has 6 income streams, but he's got no time to use them, and he's doing it from a place that he doesn't want to be. Is he really prosperous?
Right.
No. He just has the funds for a not a great life. We can talk about how this goes and where this goes from. So the sovereignty frame says financial planner builds for a single predicted future. The sovereign builds for all of them, right? Multiple streams, durable assets, time that belongs to him, a body healthy enough to use it all, and a mind sharp enough to adapt. And that position doesn't require predicting anything, right? We don't have to predict whether or not we have a future of abundance or a future of disruption, or everything's just going to stay the same. Just requires us to build correctly.
Diversification, right?
Well, diversification in those specific 4 realms of deep prosperity, diversification in not just your investments or where your money comes from, but all of the things that we talked about that are important in a sovereign's life. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
What can I do now? Because that deep prosperity is huge. But what can we do? What can we do next?
I got you. I got you, man. The very first thing you need to do is run your deep prosperity audit this week.
Okay.
Take 30 minutes, sit down, audit all 4 dimensions of your prosperity, right? Sit down and write out, number 1, your financial freedom, and list every source of income that you have, right? Salary, investments, all of it. Social Security. And then with each one of those, right just next to it, what happens if I can't work? Does this kill the money that's coming in? So if you can't work and that's your primary source of income, then that's going to end up being 0 or it's going to get reduced. So any line item that depends entirely on you trading time for money, or AI can replicate it in, say, 5 years or so, that's exposed. And any line that stops paying the day you stop showing up, that's not really a stream of income. So determine where you're at on your financial freedom. That's number 1. Number 2 is your time freedom audit. How many hours of your week are you spending on things that you choose versus things that you have to do? If the answer is less than 20%, then your prosperity is funding somebody else's priority, right? So there's location freedom.
My time is their time. My time is my time. Okay.
Exactly. Then you need to audit your location freedom. Can you do what you're doing from somewhere else if you needed to? Or is your income chained to a desk in office, some type of geography. If not, that's a constraint, not a plan. And then finally, you need to really understand your purpose. If your money were no longer the reason that you were working, would you still do what you're doing? And if the answer is no, then deep prosperity requires you to start building toward something that you would choose. That's it. You don't need to fix all 4 of them. You don't need to have a final game plan as to what you're going to do with it. You just need to see clearly where you're at right now. Do your deep prosperity audit and figure out, where you're at.
Deep prosperity audit. Okay, so that's something I can definitely wrap my mind around. It's an exercise I think I can do probably in about 30 minutes over the next few days. That I can take care of. So you got anything else? Anything else?
Yeah, before we close, I just want everybody to remember this. Look, the Optimist, the Pessimist, and the Ostrich, they all made the same mistake. They bet their future on a prediction. The sovereign doesn't predict. He builds prosperity that pays in any world. And you know what, 601? Nobody knows what the future holds. The men who thrive won't be the ones who predicted correctly. They'll be the ones who built a position that didn't require a prediction in the first place. Be that guy.
I will try. So once again, this is the Second Half Man Show. If you like what you saw here today, please please subscribe. Help us build the brotherhood.
And if you'd like to go a little deeper on what we were talking about today, subscribe to our newsletter at secondhalfman.com/newsletter. That's secondhalfman.com/newsletter. Get all the details and information that goes a little deeper than what we were able to right now. And keep an eye out for my book, The Second Half Manifesto, How to Stay Dangerous When AI and Society Want You Obsolete. That'll be out shortly in bookstores near you.
So until next time, I'm 601.
I'm Russ Borden.
Stay dangerous.